This right here is the all new Lincoln Nautilus, and what we're gonna go ahead and do is check out its cool features and go ahead and review it as it is. So this trim piece is the reserve trim. And there's 3 different trim pieces for the Nautilus: Premier, Reserve, and Lincoln's Black Labeled. But the starting price is $50,000. Now it's available on both gasoline or hybrid. The one we have here is the hybrid version, powered by a 4-cylinder, 2.0-liter turbocharged engine, combined with a eCVT automatic. And then the full gasoline engine, it still is a 2.0 4-liter turbocharged engine. Just instead of a CVT, it's paired with an 8-speed automatic transmission. But what is standard that's impressive is all-wheel drive, as well as Blue Cruise, which is basically Ford's very advanced, almost like adapted or autopilot system. So this one with all the bells and whistles that you see here just starts at $68,000. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Nautilus and see what kind of unique features it has to offer. So like always, I like to, first thing first, to always check underneath the hood. And notice it also has like a unique animation, as well as pulsing sides for those like tiger stripe marks. But it is one of these double tap or double pull to have access to your hood. And then let's look at this hybrid powertrain. So it simply lifts up like so. Let's see, what are we working with? So this is a 2-liter 4-cylinder. Your airbox tank is located here. It's using a paper filter, nothing crazy or anything like that. You have your hybrid components located over here. There is no 12-volt battery back here. I believe it's located in the trunk. But maintenance-wise, you do have a dipstick. Good, no dumb sensors or anything like that. It does take your standard 5W30, not some exotic oil for your hybrid engine. I like that. Maintenance-wise, looks fairly easy to change stuff because your spark plugs are right above here. Throttle body, let me see, air intake box, your airflow sensor is located here. I think the throttle body is located down there, which is, again, not too concerning or anything like that. It's not like throttle bodies break, but every once in a while it is good to clean it up. Let's look on the bottom. What are we working with? So everything is mostly covered here for aerodynamics. There's a hole right there. I'm assuming that's to help out drain the oil whenever you're doing your oil change. So it doesn't seem anything out of the ordinary. It looks like it's practical to work in your garage just fine in case you don't want to send it out for service. I like that. So maintenance wise, it looks like it's doable. It's easy to do maintenance. Everything is nice and exposed. There's no engine cover, so that's good. Horsepower wise, the hybrid version does have 310 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. But if you settle with the non-hybrid version, the standard 2.0-liter 4-cylinder turbo has 250 horsepower and 275 pounds-feet of torque. Not bad, normal numbers, nothing crazy or out of the ordinary. Closing the hood does require some force. You do have vent openings over here, no fog lamps unfortunately, but there is light shining through, so that's cool. It's aero efficient. I notice it's gathering rocks right here, so just a heads up. And then everything, as you saw earlier, illuminates here, including the Lincoln logo, which is quite awesome. Radar sensors located right here. It looks nice and luxurious, nothing crazy. The style is beautiful. I have to admit, this is a good looking SUV. Lincoln is really changing things up now when it comes to their looks. So the rims, these are 22s and these are big. But if you don't like these big rims, you can always get the 19, the 20s, 21s, or the 22 options. I would personally get 19. I really don't care about rim size nowadays. I prefer more tire because it just improves ride quality. But very standard, cool rim design, nothing crazy. The brand tires it's using. And then of course you got your blue Nautilus. It's highlighted blue because we are driving the hybrid version, which is why the Lincoln logo is also blue too. That's how you could distinguish a non-hybrid versus a hybrid version. So the door handles are from the Lincoln Continental back in 2017. I like the fact they actually reintegrated it to their latest Lincoln model. So this cool design isn't gone. And then right here is where you'll find your door control to like lock or unlock the vehicle. Roof rails are here. If you need to attach something, you do have that capability. And at night, it does project like the Lincoln grill logos on the bottom, like the little dots. It looks really nice. And then back here, there is some cool design flair, as this portion has like this cool fade effect. Not sure why that's there, but it works with this body, which I really do like. But the back, this is where things really do get interesting. So there's no logos back here. It just says Lincoln right here, but even with the tail light illuminating, it's so hard to even tell what car this is. It screams a lot of Audi or European design, really. I just like this tail light. It's very European. And of course you have your like ability to just do this to open up the tailgate, as you see right there. And in the back, there's a lot of cargo space. You could remotely fold down the seats from here. You still need to go inside, like actually flatten it. But the beauty about this back portion here is you do have a full donut. Oh, well, I should say spare tire, as well as your floater jack and additional cubbies if you need to store like a first aid kit or something like that. Something that I'm not seeing a lot of cars nowadays come with, especially an SUV like this. Normally just come with an inflation kit. I love that Lincoln is throwing in a spare tire. Again, ideal for road trips. You do have these little hooks right here for like your grocery bags to hold in place. There are grooves right here for your privacy cargo screen if you want to install that. And assuming this is a 12-volt outlet, very spacious. If I hop in, it could easily take a nap over here if you really need to. I have plenty of space to just lay down casually. But yeah, let's get out of here. And you also got little hook points right here, your D hooks. Just unfortunately, you are unable to press this button again to raise the seats. You have to manually go in and raise them. But aside from that, pretty impressive. What am I doing? There's a button right here I could press to lower this if I really want to. And of course, if I long hold and set the height, I can fix the height so it doesn't widely open in case you have limited space. Up here is where you'll find your wiper. It's tucked underneath here, so it does have a wiper in case you're curious. Now, if you look down here, there's no muffler cutouts, unfortunately, because it's one of these systems where the muffler just points downward from the bumper. And if you look closely, there's no tow hitch. No tow hitch at all, unfortunately. Is that because the CVT electric transmission does not tow? But if you get the 8-speed all-gas version, it does have a tow rating of 1,750 pounds. But in reality, that's not really a lot of towing capacity, unfortunately. So just something to keep in mind if you're planning on using this to like tow your toys. It just does not tow, unfortunately. It does have this cool little spoiler. The gas cap is locked. Actually, the gas caps are all locked for these models. And it's because you'll find the gas cap opener button inside the car. And it does take regular fuel. Now, the Nautilus can actually hold up to 20 gallons of gasoline. So in total, what I was able to see is 550-mile range under a full tank of gas, which to me, that's pretty impressive. Now, you do have your cool number keypad right here, which does illuminate when the door is activated. But just like an F-150, if you hold the 8 and the 0 at the same time, this will force the vehicle to lock. So then, of course, you can reprogram your pin inside the little screen on the inside. But this is good to know in case you need to like put your keys inside the car in case you're surfing and you just don't want to lose your keys like in the ocean or your phone or whatever. You can just rely on your pin to have access to it and just press those 2 buttons at the end like I was showing you earlier if you like to override the vehicle to lock. And then you do have a cool little opening right here. This is where you'll go ahead and insert your little key for the Nautilus, and then you can just insert it here to like open or lock the door from here, which is kind of cool. That's what that little hole is for. Unfortunately, it still uses the standard Ford key that we've known and loved ever since 2018. And then you do have a remote start as well as your tailgate opening or your panic button from here. But yeah, this key design hasn't been changed for a long while because this is my 2018 Ford Raptor key and it's literally the exact same. But Lincoln does have the option where you could download the digital key on your smartphone and share it with other people. So if you don't want to carry that big key fob of yours, you can just download the Lincoln app and pair it to the digital key for your vehicle. So you rely on your phone to have access and drive off to your car. So I like the fact that Lincoln at least has that technology down now. Now, before we hop in the car, I do have a yardstick. I do want to show you guys the ground clearance. So compared to the previous generation Nautilus, it is 3 inches longer from my understanding. And the ground clearance is about 6 inches of ground clearance if you include the little wind diffuser. But if you don't, you have about 7 inches of ground clearance. But let's go ahead and hop into the rear seats now after I fold up these seats. So the seats back here are fully adjustable. You do have a little lever right there and a manual lever pulley right here as well. And hopping in, I have a lot of head space. I am 5'8" and I have about 5 inches of head space. I already had taller people sitting back here and they had no issues, and they were 6'1". No issues whatsoever. But look at this gorgeous interior. This is awesome. This is definitely less is more minimalistic interior design. I like that. Sound system is pretty impressive. I am unsure what brand it is, but I have it on the screen. And then you do have a digital door handle, very similar to what we've seen in the past was the Mach-E to open up the door. And then there's a total of 2 USB-C ports on each seat, so you have a total of 4. And then down here, you do have a household outlet along with your air vents, but no air vent control back here, but does feature heated seats for your rear passengers. And you also have additional storage compartments right here to store like a big water bottle if you have one. But the center fifth seat does have an armrest. You could just pull down like so, as well as a little bit of storage right here. And then your cup holders for your rear passengers. It's really pretty nice back here. Light controls, nothing crazy. Your old snap handles. It's nice and roomy back here. I have to admit, Lincoln did an impressive job in terms of giving the rear passengers a lot of space to like make themselves comfortable really easy, as well as adjust their seating position. But all the way far back, I have a ton of leg space, as you see right here. Of course, you have cubbies. It's really impressive. I'm glad Lincoln didn't focus on a third row seat, because there's a lot of impressive space back here for your center seats right here for your rear passengers. All right, let's get inside the Lincoln Nautilus. Let's turn it on, push the start, of course. And this is basically how the entire screen looks like. It's super futuristic. I love the interior. Your gear selector is located here, and the thing I noticed was the CVT electric transmission is that you could change from reverse and drive. So long as you're below 5 miles per hour, you can toggle between reverse and drive instantly without having to come to a complete stop. But of course, if you get the regular gasoline model, you will get a 8-speed transmission, automatic transmission, that I'm sure doesn't have that ability to shift between drive and reverse without coming to a complete stop. So just something cool I wanted to highlight. Your volume knob is this like crystal knob. It's pretty interesting. Then if whatever said reason your display or something's not responding, hasn't yet happened to me. So far I've been good. But if you need to figure out how to reset this unit, just long hold the volume button and continue holding it for longer than like 10 seconds. And then just continue holding it, because once you release it, this will immediately reset the entire car. So there you go. Well, not the car, but the computer component. You can still drive your vehicle like this, but it's rebooting basically your entire display in case it becomes buggy. So yes, you're still able to drive because the computer is loading, but you can still see your speedometer and your other safety features right here, as well as your gear selector. And you do have wireless charging, USB-C, USB-A, your cup holders, and if you like to, it has this cool closing mechanism, which allows you to have like table space right here to like put food and stuff. Or what I like to use these for is, if I don't need my cup holders, I can just place my phone right here and let it wireless charge. Or if I just need one cup holder, I could just do that. This is why I like these like little doors open and close. And then below here you do have your armrests, which is pretty nice and comfortable. And then storage space, you have this. There's this unique little cubby. I'm unable to remove it, but it does give you access to your 12-volt outlet, as well as 2 additional USB-C ports. And there's a nice little tunnel system right here that allows you to run wires from here to here if you need to. And here would be your scents for your digital scents. So they come in these little cool little pods. And on the screen itself, it will actually tell you how much percentage is remaining, which I'll cover in a little bit. But that's a unique thing about the Lincoln Nautilus. I don't know any other car that has like digital scents like that. Glove box, pretty standard. No memory seats, unfortunately, for your passengers, but the driver's side does have memory seats. But I think that is cool is that you could adjust each section of the seat individually, because you'll find your seat controls located right here. You can actually adjust the position of this section of the seat to your own personal preference. So if you like to rest your foot on the dead pedal, you can just raise this up, and then you can leave the other one down. And it does feature massage seats, which you can activate by pressing this little button over here. And if you look at this door, if we close the door, it will shift back to blue. And when you open it, it will go back to red, allowing others to see that the door is open when you're on the side of the road. But back in your massage seats, both the driver and passenger side have massage seats, and it's using air bladders, but these are probably the best air bladders that I've experienced so far. And then there's a bunch of different variety of different like massages that you could actually toggle through, and you can set your levels with what these three little dots to indicate how much of a strength you want. And I think I nearly forgot, there's a little tunnel system right here. You can actually store stuff here. Hopefully the camera can pick that up. Let me see if I can illuminate it with my phone's flashlight. There you go. So it has like a little storage right underneath all this. You could put like a purse or something like that underneath there if you need to. Now the steering wheel is super cool. It's like floating. These are all touchpad control, but as soon as you tap one on the screen, it'll actually show you what it means. So right now we can just activate cruise control. And on the other side, if you tap on it, this will be your media control, as well as your virtual voice assistant. And you go skip track and such. So these will adapt depending on the action you're doing with the menu that's showing you on top. Now, before I go ahead and talk about the software side of things, yes, it does feature a sunglasses holder right there. So pretty awesome. No digital rear mirror, unfortunately, though. And then, before I nearly forget to mention, you do have your 360 camera button to press right here all the time on demand. So this screen is a 48-inch display, and then this is an 11.1-inch display. And right now we still have the 360 camera mode, and you can switch between the different viewpoints right here. But there's not really a lot of different viewpoints to select from, unfortunately. That's one thing I noticed, but you could click on the corners to get like a closer look in case you're trying to park somewhere really tight. You can just tap on a corner and it'll actually zoom in on the screen. So now let's go ahead and talk about the display. Oh, and I'm sorry for going back, but top is flat and bottom is flat. It's one of these type of steering wheels. A very similar steering wheel you'll typically will find on the 4GT or even the Cybertruck. I personally like these steering wheels because they still have the top portion. It's not like a dumb yoke, so you can still wrap your steering wheel whenever you need to in case you're making a U-turn, and it's not blocking too much information on the front display. Now back to this. So an interesting thing for AC control, as an example, when you tap here, let me show you something. No, I need to disable this. If I tap here, your air vents are all digitally controlled, very similar to like a Tesla. But there's a unique feature that I really do like, and that is motion. As you see right here, my air vents are actually moving as I'm driving. So if you like having the fan like rotate in front of you, it's basically a similar feature. I haven't seen another car do this, so I'm quite impressed that this Lincoln has that ability, that has this unique feature I haven't seen another car use. You could do the exact same thing to your passenger too if you want their air vent to circulate around their body. You may also link them too if you want. And then over here is your air purifier. It does have a HEPA filter, it looks like, or some type of HEPA filter, where it makes sure that the cabinet is fresh and perfect for air purification needs. You could turn it off directly, but it keeps like a history right there as well. Of course, your ventilated seats as well as heated seats are available for both driver and passenger side, and this is where you also will find your heated steering wheel control. And then for these screens right here, this screen over here is customizable. You can find that information over here by pressing here. You can rearrange it by simply clicking and dragging like so. So in the middle right now I have my trip, and if I want to reset it, I just tap on these little dots. I can reset my trip from here. I can also swap these with more information I want to see instead, like my tire PSI pressure. You can also select weather or fuel economy. And let's see what MPG we're averaging. About 24 miles per gallon. Not bad, but this car has been on the idle most of the time while I was testing it. But if this is too much, you can also select calm, and it will actually just give you a calm layout. And right now I have like this I don't know what kind of planet this is, but I have like a desert vibe theme going on. You could change the theme with like other options by selecting the vehicle. You go into the settings for the car and then scroll down to display. And in theme, this is where you can find the different themes that it has available. So all like spaceshipy, I guess, like space vibe. That's what I've noticed. It has like a blackness vibe, I guess. Let me go ahead and disable calm real quick. All right, so this theme is like a black and blue type of theme. It looks like something like in space again. But if we go back to settings, engage will be this purple theme. Also looks very spaceshipy, sci-fi. And then we can go back to inspire. So we just have these 4 themes to choose from. And then for the ambient lighting, which is all over, even the floor wells also illuminate as well. You can find it in the vehicle settings, and you'll go into ambient lighting, and you have the choice between these color options. Unfortunately, there's no RGB wheel, so if you want to tweak it to your own personal preference or a customized color, you only have these to choose from, unfortunately. And then if we go back to the vehicle column and go into digital scent, this is where you have access to the different scents that you have the ability to choose from. And you can also select how strong you want it to be. 3 is max, and of course this is where you can monitor the percentage in case you're curious if you need to replace them. And if you want to find out where you go find these, just tap the little eye information icon right here. You can scan this QR code and it'll take you directly to Lincoln's website where you can actually purchase more of these little scent cartridges. And then if you want this to automatically go off whenever you turn on your vehicle, you'll find the setting over here in this little menu where you can enable diffuse at vehicle start. You can enable it right here. You can actually control how frequent you want it to be. So if you wanted to continue, you could just select that. Long cycles, short cycles, or once, you have this ability over here. But I like these smells, so I'm just gonna let it continue. Now Lincoln says there's going to be a future firmware update that will allow you to actually have like a relax mode, something like a spa or rejuvenate is what Lincoln is calling it, where you could go in the app setting and you'll find it right here, and we'll basically just turn the entire cabinet into a zen place depending on the scent you like to smell. So your AC control, your temperature will adjust, your massage seats will go off, basically allow you to zen in your vehicle. But as time against video, that's not available, or at least for this Lincoln model. So hopefully in the near future, firmware update, we'll have that new ability to do that as well. Now you may have noticed in apps, you do have the Google App Store. You can actually download third-party apps here. So you have Angry Birds if you like to add like mobile games or Waze. You have total freedom to do that right here, which is quite awesome. And this unit also does support wireless CarPlay as well as Android Auto. But since this is powered by Google, you could download Google Apps if you want to add more apps in this vehicle. Now in terms of customization, you can find your mode selector right here. You could press this little button, or you could tap over here and go into drive modes. And depending on your personal preference, if you want conserve to be in front, you could long hold and readjust it just like that. So you can always just press on it or switch between these different modes, which isn't really a lot. You have conserve, which is basically your eco, normal, excite, slippery. Excite basically will be your sport mode. Slippery for like what rainy situation, and then deep conditions like snow or even sand. If you find yourself in those types of environments, you can select it right here. And I like the fact that again, it's sci-fi. Like these are just unique planets. I don't think these are real planets. If that's the case, then Excite, that to me looks like Cybertron. So yeah, and then if you go over here, you will find additional options, but it doesn't allow you to customize anything. It just lets you reset to default order. So everything we changed earlier has now been reset. So our exciting mode's over here now instead of at the very beginning. Other things you could customize, you can also customize this menu if you want to move things around. I thought that was kind of cool. But in terms of apps, unfortunately, you do not have the ability to like click and drag and change these little options over here. But you do have a faster access to your settings by going here, which allows you to delete some of these apps if you really don't want them, just like a smartphone. And then back in this menu, you can also open up your rear hatch by pressing this button back here. It even shows you the animation. But you could also open it from this button over here as well, and then close. Then inside here would show you your like Wi-Fi connection and such, as well as your notifications if you have like any vehicle updates. The norm, basically. Now, in terms of vehicle settings, I personally like enabling. Let's see, if you go on settings and go on vehicle, here not only can you change the settings to your like lightings and stuff. If you wanted to be on idle for 30 minutes, if you tap on this little icon over here, it'll tell you the exact detail. So if the engine idles for longer than 30 minutes, it'll automatically turn off. You can enable that or disable that. Rear occupant alert, you could turn that off if you don't want that. But here where it says easy entry and exit, I like having this on because as soon as I turn off the vehicle, everything retracts, so it's easier for me to get in and out. And then once I turn on the car, everything readjusts to my seating position. I like that feature because it's a luxury feature, and I like the fact this car has it, which I hope so. But down here where it says mirrors, another feature I like enabling is the auto fold ability. This way when I lock the car, my mirrors actually fold in, allowing me to see that my vehicle is locked in the car. And then here you can find more additional goodies like the auto unlock or the mislock strip. Again, you can always press these little eye icons over here in case you're not sure what the setting will do. But by enabling this, basically the horn will sound twice if you lock your car and there's a door that's not closed properly. That's what that does. But in terms of everything else, it's pretty much self-explanatory. Let me see if I find anything else that's interesting. That's where it's covering. Door keypad, if you want to change that code, this is where you'll find it. The braking coach, all personal preference. I like having this on, so when I brake, it'll actually give me a grade how efficient my braking was since this is a hybrid. So seeing that definitely allows me to actually learn and adapt to this vehicle. And oil life you can find over here. But that's basically it when it comes to this. Here you can set different profiles. If you're sharing it with your friends or spouse, you'll find your theme setting over here. Network, Wi-Fi, location, privacy. That's basically it. Because over here there really isn't any settings to adjust here. Whenever you press these little buttons, it's always the same thing. There's not a lot of things you can do here, unlike some other vehicles. Everything is primarily controlled with this 11-inch display. Now these headrests, I gotta say, they're super comfortable. They're adjustable, so I could lock it if I wanted to be a little bit more front than normal. I have that total freedom. Or I could just retract it all the way back. Some Lincoln models have the ability to like adjust your head shape. Just unfortunately this one doesn't have it, but even without it, I'm like, this is pretty comfortable. I'm talking about this design, these ones. So in the instruction, it shows this one has it, but the one we have unfortunately does not. But trust me, this is super comfortable already as it is. All right, driving the Lincoln Nautilus. Honestly, when I first started driving this car and I looked at the interior, the 48-inch display, it's amazing. It feels like I'm driving a concept. It doesn't look like something that should be in production, but it works. It works extremely well. Now, this behind like the science and stuff, that thing that was involved in creating this was just to make it an easier version of like a heads-up display. And I think Lincoln succeeded because I'm able to see all the information I need at a glance while I'm looking directly in front of the windshield. I can see my speed, everything, my lane keep assist, everything literally in front of me. It was in my like peripheral. It just works, and it's nice too, especially at night too. So something I had a hard time finding out was if this is an OLED display, because the pixels are actually really black, and kind of like an OLED display, it also has that purple tint. So unfortunately, I am unable to look online and see if this really is an OLED display. I think it is, but again, I could be horribly wrong. If you know the type of display this is, please comment down below and let us all know. But to me, this looks like an OLED. If this is an LCD display, I'm extremely impressed because the small attention to details, high resolution. It's hard to even see pixels, even with these like UI, like text and stuff like that. It's a high resolution display, which is quite phenomenal. So there are different drive modes, of course. Lincoln's like naming their drive modes was other, hey look, another Nautilus, but it's the older one. But Lincoln likes calling their little drive mode something exotic. But regardless of the drive mode you are on, the best drive mode for me is the Eco one. The one with the leaf, basically. I forgot what Lincoln calls it, but that mode I think is the best mode for this car because it's super comfortable. Since this is a CVT transmission, it's not going to be responsive. That's one thing I noticed. This is definitely a cruiser. As handling and stuff, it's kind of sluggish. It's not really fully responsive. When you put your foot down, it is going to be a small delay until the engine actually does start to accelerate. Even for the higher horsepower hybrid engine that we have here, it still has that delay. But for just coasting, cruising, this is a very comfortable SUV. This is definitely a car that I will personally like taking for long road trips. especially from here. It's like 6-hour drive for me to get from here to Los Angeles. I'll definitely take this, and my passengers, I know for a fact, will be extremely comfortable because I'm extremely impressed how much leg space there is back there and how adjustable that rear seat is. That is really cool, especially when you consider the fact that it's based off this existing C2 platform that Ford been using for the Escape, the Bronco Sport, and the Maverick. And the fact they're able to do this is incredible because those other vehicles, they're not roomy compared to this. So Lincoln did a good job off this platform. But let's go ahead and accelerate on the freeway and give you the feedback how that's like. Also, one thing, I am going about 50 miles per hour and it's really quiet in here. Aside from the air vents, I do have the AC going on because it's extremely hot outside. I'm able to hear my inner thoughts. So merging on the freeway, let's see, a little bit of tire spin. So there we go, now we're 60. So I did have a long ramp to accelerate onto the freeway, and it's doable, even though the 0-60 numbers isn't really anything crazy. Good day I seen 6.5, bad day I seen like 7. So I'll say in between 6.5 and 7 is the sweet spot for 0-60. Which is more than enough to like get on the highway safely, but nothing crazy out of the ordinary. And of course you have all the modern day safety feature, blind spot, monitoring, lane keep assist. Blue Cruise comes standard, and to activate is just as simple as just activating your cruise control on your car. You could adjust the distance based off the controller, depending on what you're pressing. And then we are now in Blue Cruise, just like that. And it does have the capability to automatically change lanes. So again, for long road trips, this is definitely a car I would take because it's comfortable, it's quiet, and smells nice with the digital scent that they provide. So for a family of like 4, your 2 kids, you and your spouse, this is the perfect like everyday SUV with some impressive MPG numbers too. This car I've seen been able to average on the highway driving, I've been able to get 30 miles per gallon. I'm sure if I really did try, I could easily squeeze a little bit more out of it as well. And visibility is not at all a problem at all. And then I do have the maps disabled on my Google Maps, but if it wasn't able, it'll be shown right here. And it does support Apple CarPlay as well as Android Auto. So if you like to use something like Waze or Apple Maps for navigation, you'll see it right here on this display, and you'll also see the Apple Maps also on this display right here. So that's, I think, is pretty cool that it utilizes the phone that's connected Maps. And then when you're stopping by at a gas station to fuel up, or just waiting in the car for somebody to get back in from a store, you can run YouTube here, and you even have a web browser. So not a bad car. And that is the Lincoln Nautilus. I'm quite impressed. You get a lot of SUV for something just under 70,000. These things come fully loaded. From my understanding, that 48 display is standard, and all-wheel drive is standard. And then what else is standard? Oh yeah, the Blue Cruise, which is basically Ford's very advanced like autopilot system. It's impressive that all this is standard. And if you wait a little bit longer, I'm sure in the used side market, these things will become even more easily obtainable. Anyways, there you guys have it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you'd like to watch another video of another Lincoln I reviewed and we checked out, the Lincoln Aviator, you could go ahead and check it out right over there. Thank you so much for watching.